Well, hello everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola. Welcome to another one of our Coffee Talk Live episodes. And today, a special day for me because I get to talk to Charlie Draper of Draper Law Office, and he's a friend, and many years, many more than we probably would admit out in public. But always great discussions. And so, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you.
It's good to be here, for sure.
Interesting atmosphere here at Cafe Barista.
It is. We love it. You know, and we were talking about it's my first time being in this particular coffee shop. Really nice, actually.
It is. Our office is almost directly across the street.
Right, I can see it.
And I passed it, but I had no idea it generated that much activity that we're seeing here this morning.
Yeah.
But people love it.
It's good to see. And you know, it's like that double-edged sword if you're a business owner. When someone says, "My gosh, I've never even heard of your business,"
right?
You're like, well, that's terrible, but glad now you do. And so anyway, you know, before we get into the conversation, I'll date it and say certainly that we're in the holiday season,
right? And
I'll date that, kind of put a date stamp on it because I think it reflects on the topic we're going to talk about for sure. And that would be, you know, that we all realize it's a busy traffic center we're in now in Osceola County, whether that's St. Cloud, Kissimmee, Point Siena, BVL, Celebration. The secret's out, like we say. People want to be here, and so we're here with them. But before we get into that, sometimes I forget because we talk so much that not everybody knows what your business is. So why don't you go ahead and let the folks know a little bit about what Draper Law Office does.
Yeah, so Draper Law Office opened in 1984 here in Kissimmee. I moved down from New York. I practiced in New York for 10 years. We focus primarily on two types of fields. One is personal injury and wrongful death. That also includes trip and falls, slip and falls. And then the other area is family law matters. That could be divorce, child support, visitation, anything having to do with family. We have an excellent attorney who's been practicing in that field for over 30 years, right. Linda Grzinski. And so we're right across the street, as I said, we're right across the street from where we are now at 705 West Emmett Street in Kissimmee, right across the street from the old courthouse and right next to Grissom Park. There's a park with playground material. As I said, we focus on those two areas of the law because we think that we can get the best results for our clients by staying on top of those two areas of the law. As I mentioned, our address is 705 West Emmett Street, Kissimmee. You can look us up on the website, www.draperlawoffice.com. You can give us a call if you're in the, either make an appointment or just drop in. Our telephone number is 407-846-0075. If you want to email me, my email is cdraper@draperlawoffice.com. We'd love to spend some time talking with you, even if you don't have a case. Just stop in. You may have a question, so we'd be more than happy to field that question and help you out. So.
And of course, if you stop in now, you'd appreciate cookies and perhaps
right.
some hot cocoa and coffee as well. So again, today, this is something we have certainly discussed before, but I don't think that it's too many times. And I mentioned to you before we started that I had an opportunity, knowing we were going to have this discussion again,
right.
to speak to, if I remember exactly, two people in their 20s. One young lady in her 30s, one person in their 40s, and two people in their 50s, and every one of them said the same thing. They still are not sure that they make the right decision when it does come time to purchase auto insurance again. They're not sure how much they should get. The selections, if they're doing it online specifically, it can be challenging. You're not prompted, and we talked about this, you're not prompted in a way that's going to lend to you to understanding what happens if you opt for the cheapest insurance.
Right.
I mean, I personally would love to have less expensive insurance.
Sure.
But I have a wife and a child, and I don't want them to be underinsured. So there are repercussions when you don't choose certain insurance coverages, correct?
Right.
So why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
So let me give you a historical perspective.
Sure.
Back in, I think it was 1974, 75, Florida legislature decided that it would be in its citizens' best interest to become a no-fault state.
Right.
So what does that mean? No fault simply means that if you're involved in an accident and you're injured or one of your passengers is injured, then your insurance is going to pay your medical bills and any lost wages
Right.
up to a combined total of $10,000.
Okay.
Now that amount has not changed since the mid-70s, still $10,000.
That's good because cars aren't more expensive, and healthcare isn't either.
Right. And also, in addition to mandatory no-fault coverage, it's called PIP, personal injury protection,
Right.
you're also obligated to carry property damage liability coverage, okay? So what that means is this: if I cause an accident, my insurance company will pay the mandatory amount, which is up to $10,000 to repair your Lexus, BMW, Tesla. And of course, if it's a total loss, all you're going to get is $10,000, right? So what are the ways that the consumer can protect themselves? And believe me, I'm sensitive to this because I see my insurance rates going up, skyrocketing too, almost doubling,
No doubt.
tripling what they were 3 or 4 years ago. So here's some things to consider, particularly in Osceola County, because the demographics are such that people's budgets are stretched between the cost of rent, the cost of living. Gas prices are coming down, but anyway, everyone's struggling, okay? So when it comes to insurance, thank you, young
Coffee's
lady.
here. How nice are you?
Thank you very much.
Steaming hot. Thank you.
So, like, when it comes to insurance, every family has a budget. You know, how much can we allocate to insurance? I'm talking about auto insurance.
Sure.
Not your house insurance, which is another separate subject we could talk about. But so, if you're in a financial position to consider buying more than the bare minimum, which, as I said, is the 10,000 PIP and the property damage mandatory coverage of $10,000 to protect the other vehicle. Here's some things to consider. You can carry uninsured motorist coverage to protect you and your family and people in your car. So if the other vehicle that caused the accident has either A, no insurance whatsoever, or B, the bare minimum, which is the PIP or no fault and the property damage, then you can collect, in the case of a permanent injury, you can collect money from your own insurance under the uninsured motorist collision, okay? There are different types of uninsured motorist coverage. There's stackable, non-stackable, they all affect the price. Depending on the year of your vehicle, you can carry collision coverage. If it's an older model vehicle, you probably don't want to carry collision coverage because it's just not cost effective. But if you carry collision coverage and you're involved in an accident and you're driving that 1923 Lexus or BMW or some high valued car, and you don't want to be stuck with the other person's $10,000 property damage, then you can protect yourself by carrying collision coverage, okay? Now, on the uninsured motorist coverage, you have to have bodily injury coverage to carry uninsured motorist coverage, okay? You cannot carry zero bodily injury coverage and
go
then
the
carry
other. Yeah,
100, 300 uninsured motorist
Yeah, I've
coverage.
seen that.
You can, they can sell you uninsured motorist coverage up to the same amount that you purchase for bodily injury coverage. There's another type of coverage that you can also purchase in addition to the PIP or no-fault coverage. It's called medical payments coverage.
Right.
But again, there's a premium for that, so it costs. But I guess the important message is if the budget will afford it, by all means, carry it, even if it's just a limited amount of bodily injury coverage and uninsured motorist coverage to protect you and your family in the event of an accident. And Keith, you know as well as I do, these roads are so congested. We're driving on roads that were designed for traffic 20 years ago.
That's the deal.
You know, and so it's just, you could be the safest driver out there, but there's no guarantee that you're not going to get involved in an accident. They're in a hurry.
No.
They're cutting people off. They're
I know.
distracted.
I
You know, they're thinking, they're looking at their cell phone. It's a different world.
It is. I think, gosh, we've both been here for many years, right?
Right.
And I can remember having conversations just between friends and talking about the blended styles of driving in one area.
Exactly.
I think that's how we all
Right.
that was the vernacular
Sure.
a couple decades ago. Now it's what you just said, which is it's a combination of that, you know, whether you're from the North or the Midwest or
Right.
the South or you're from the Caribbean or wherever you're from, Canada, we're all here in a melting pot. I think we've talked about this, that's the richness of this culture we have here. That's the great part.
Right.
But the not so great part is that we all drive differently, and now there's so many of us. I talked to somebody in law enforcement just the other day, and they said the same thing. The roads were designed, in most of these areas,
Right.
the roads were designed not to have this much happening at the same time, and it is a long shot. It's become where if you're driving from, say, the eastern portion of Osceola County to get to the theme parks, it's rather risky.
Oh, it is.
But yet, I get it. And just like you said, you do. When you go to get that insurance, you're looking at the numbers,
Right.
and you're like, gosh, you know, it's not the only thing I have to watch out for.
No, exactly. You
And
got
so
a budget.
But it comes down to how do you find out, you know, whether a really helpful agent exists that can explain.
So, yeah, you know, there's a lot of what I call captive agents. If you, like State Farm, a State Farm agent only sells State Farm policy.
Right.
Allstate agent only sells Allstate policy.
Sure.
Okay? Geico, same thing. So if you can locate a insurance broker who will shop around for you and educate you on what is good insurance and what is not so good insurance for your particular circumstance and your family, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, this is not coming from a lawyer. This is coming from me as a family man, as a driver every day, and we see a lot of accidents. And so a lot of people think that if they're involved in an accident, their case is worth $500,000, and that's not the case. Number one, you've got to have some really serious injuries and surgeries. Number two, the insurance has to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and so I guess the takeaway from our conversation would be try to locate a good insurance broker
Right.
who isn't selling just, you know, State Farm or just Geico or just Allstate, but is going to look at the full spectrum and what's available, and also educate you and answer your questions on what's good insurance and what is not so good insurance. And so they'll not only educate you, but they'll shop for you to get the most competitive price for your budget. So.
And you know, when you were saying that, I thought, so what does somebody do? I think you're going to know the answer to this. better than I. What does somebody do that might just come into town? You know, and maybe you searched out a job, and there's so much comfort in. There is so much comfort living in a place for a long amount of time. You build relationships,
Right.
and you get to know who to talk to, who's the best counsel, and all that.
Right.
Like you're saying, as far as a broker. But if you're new in town and you don't know a lot of people, I'm always going to send businesses and individuals, you know, to talk to the Chamber of Commerce's.
Right.
You certainly have, you know, 2 or 3 in the area. We've got the Osceola Chamber here in the Kissimmee area. We've got St. Cloud Chamber. You've got Lake Nona. You've got, you know, the Hispanic Chamber. All kinds of ways to find, you know, who's out there you can trust. Online sources, I tend to like those online sources. That's our business. That takes longer
It does.
to know what you're doing because it's an even playing field.
And you're not being guided.
No way, you're not.
There's no recommendations
Yeah.
or education on what happens if you should buy this or, you know, that's, you know, if you're really good and you want to do the work, that's fine. But I prefer having an educated broker who
Yeah.
will shop for me.
Yeah.
To buy insurance. In fact, I just paid my insurance premium like this past weekend.
How fun!
And I was shocked at how much it
Yeah.
cost for my wife's vehicle and my vehicle. So yes, I got a 6-month policy. I will be shopping around
Yeah.
as well. So it affects every household.
It does.
You know.
Then I have people ask me if you've got a year policy, you know, are you stuck with a whole year? No, you can sit back with an agent. You can reset that whole thing anytime, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But no fun. So who's jumping to do that every other week? But anyway, I just think, you know, I thought it was a good discussion point again. I trust you. You know, I think that probably is what sets your firm and you apart from others in the county. You have been here since 1984, and you don't do that without having built a ton of relationships of trust base.
Right.
So we appreciate the information, and like you said, I think you find somebody who can be your guide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my best advice.
Yeah, it's just that we don't, you know, it's just like we just don't see. Unfortunately, when you see the result of under purchasing or purchasing in the wrong direction, then it's a little on the late side. So,
And also, Keith, I'm sure you're mindful of this as well as the listeners. We as family people are so torn and distracted from we have our work life, then we have the family life and the shopping and all that. We are bombarded with demands every day.
no doubt.
And so there's a natural tendency to want to take the easy way out. Well, the easy way out may not be the best thing for you and your family.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, so get educated.
Truth.
You know, and do yourself and your family a favor.
Well said. Specifically during the holidays or beginning of the year, probably a great time as that's coming up again. It's a reset button for most
Exactly.
of us. Chance to look at. We should all be looking at our policies on all of those levels, and so I think I'm going to be doing that again.
And to your point that you raised earlier, you can switch during the policy period. Say,
Right.
an example, you purchased in December a policy for a year, and then you find out in February or March that you found a better deal. You can change, and they will. The company that you're with now will refund the unused premiums that you paid for that 1 year period.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's not like you're stuck with them.
No, you're not. So there you have it, folks. Vital information from the man himself, Mr. Charlie Draper, over a fine cup of coffee. You got to
It
taste
is.
this. It's wonderful. This is Cafe Barista, as Charlie said, kind of diagonally across from Draper Law Office. A little plug there again, right on Broadway. As you can see, kind of our point made, a very busy Broadway here in Kissimmee, but a wonderful atmosphere here. If you have not tried this particular coffee shop, highly recommend you do. because it's not just great coffee. I'm noticing that it's coffee with a smile.
It is.
So can't beat that. Hey, happy holidays to you, my friend.
Same to you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Any other information you're needing from Draper Law Office, again, as Charlie said, draperlawoffice.com, or go to call 407-846-0075. The best of the best and the safest of the safe. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Again, Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Charlie Draper of Draper Law Office at Positively Osceola's Coffee Talk Live. Together making a positive difference in and around Osceola County.
Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.